Hi everyone, welcome to another video on Isha's Adventures, and today's video is going to be the second Oaxaca video of the Vegan in Mexico series. So if you haven't seen it already, I've already made one video about Oaxaca, going through all the different restaurants that I went to in Oaxaca City. This video is going to be more about Oaxaca as a state, as a region in Mexico as a whole. There is a little bit about Oaxaca City as well, but I will touch on another place in Oaxaca that was amazing. So stay tuned for that. I'll talk about that at the end. So the first thing I want to mention in this video is the Textile Museum in Oaxaca. It was strange. I know what you're thinking. A textile museum? That seems weird, doesn't seem particularly interesting, and I didn't think so either. But I met two good friends of mine while I was traveling, and the three of us took a trip to the textile museum, and it turned out to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of arty textiles and really interesting textures and patterns, and I don't know, I think you just have to get into the textile mood to enjoy this kind of place. I personally really enjoyed myself. Shout out to the two friends that I met there, and while I'm at it, I'm going to tell you how I meet friends while I'm traveling as well. So firstly, I met a girl called Barbara who's from Poland, and she'd been traveling quite a long time by herself, and I met her through an app called Couchsurfing. I think I've mentioned Couchsurfing quite a lot, especially on my Instagram. I talk about Couchsurfing all the time because it's so amazing. I started using Couchsurfing back in 2017. Couchsurfing is an app that allows you to stay with people for free while you're traveling. It's essentially a cultural exchange. So say you're traveling from the UK to Zambia, and which is actually the first country where I use Couchsurfing. You can look up hosts in Zambia and just stay with them. You can send a request and you can ask if you can stay at their house. It's completely free. So if anybody asks you for money, for Couchsurfing, they are breaking the Couchsurfing rules, and in my opinion you should be reporting them because they're ruining something amazing. So I stayed with a couple who had at the time a 4-year-old daughter in Zambia, and I had the best time. I stayed with them for a week and I got to really see how a Zambian family lives like that, and it's a great opportunity for travelers to really immerse themselves into the culture of the country they're visiting. So I highly recommend Couchsurfing for travelers. On the app, you don't have to stay with people or host people. You can also just hang out. So there's a hangouts option, and you can just hang out with people who are in the nearby area. So that's how I got talking to Barbara, this Polish girl. We ended up meeting up and we got on really well. So she's become a good friend of mine. And through her, so she was staying at a hostel called Iguana Hostel in Oaxaca. Shout out to them because that was an amazing hostel as well. I ended up staying there a little while, a few weeks later. So through Barbara, I met another guy, Edmund, who's American, and Barbara and Edmund ended up becoming great friends of mine while I was traveling. And this is while I was doing a bit of solo travel. And solo travel, as I've said before in previous videos, doesn't mean you're alone all the time. It means you're free. It means you're free to go and meet other people, broaden your horizons, and make new friends. So that's how I met those two. We went to the Textile Museum and I had a great time. It was so fun. And so I recommend the Textile Museum in Oaxaca. I have a little list here of things I want to talk about in this video. So if I look down, it's because I'm looking at my list. What else have I got? I have written here, went for a random run by myself to nowhere. That's true, I did do that. It was, I think, one of the last few days in Oaxaca City, and I just felt like going for a run by myself to nowhere. So that's exactly what I did. I just ran to the very outskirts of Oaxaca City with no particular direction in mind, and I wanted to run for about an hour, so I just kind of ran half an hour out and then I kind of made my way back again, and it was good fun. And you find yourself in places with absolutely no tourists and just Mexicans, and there's actually a protest going on that I saw, and saw some really cool views. It was just fun, you know, just to be out in the middle of nowhere by yourself. I do recommend that if you want to go and have a little adventure by yourself. Sometimes I go off by myself and it does turn into a big adventure. This particular one was pretty straightforward. Went for a run, came back. End of story. I also have written here, tried different gyms. and then black gym. So that is referring to one of the best gyms that I went to in Mexico. It was called Black Gym in Oaxaca City. I highly recommend this gym. There were a few other gyms in Oaxaca as well. I tried, I think, 3 or 4 gyms in the end, but Black was the one that had the best equipment, really great staff. So if you want help, that's good too. It is a little busy, so I wouldn't recommend peak hours. If you go in the afternoon, it's pretty quiet. So really great atmosphere. Everyone's training hard as well. It's one of those gyms where people take it seriously. People are there to work out, and it shows. So I recommend Black Gym. Okay, next on the list, I've written down Market in Mitla. Someone else told me about this actually. So again, through word of mouth, you end up finding these really cool places. And on the very outskirts of Oaxaca, you have to take a bus to get there. There's a small town called Mitla. And Mitla has a market, and I think it's only on Sundays. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's only 1 day a week. And I love markets. If you've seen my Instagram page or my photography page, you guys know that I love markets. Markets are such good opportunities for people watching, first of all. So even if you don't like photography, such a cool place to just have a look around at people. Because people are always sort of in their casual wear, you know, it's a real just everyday occurrence to go to a market and buy your fruit and veg or whatever it is you're buying. As a photographer, markets are even more interesting because the way the light falls through sort of the gaps in the overhangings, and sometimes there's smoke off, yeah, it's a bit morbid, it's searing meat usually, but there's smoke coming up from those kind of barbecue areas, and the smoke lends itself to really amazing photography. So again, markets. I really recommend visiting markets while you're traveling. So this particular one, again, I'll reiterate, is called Mitla Market, near Oaxaca City. And get a local bus. Get on a local bus, go to this random city and go to the random market, and you'll have a great time. In Mitla itself, we got a little bit hungry. I was there with Q and my friend Edmund, who I mentioned earlier. And so we got a bit hungry and we ended up going to eat. For vegans, there is a great option called Cara Tierra Brunch. And they have enchiladas covered in mole sauce, if you like that. And so you can have, there's really good vegan options in that place. That's what we had there. Okay, I think that's everything. So that's all the stuff I wanted to mention about Oaxaca City and the surrounding area. But there is one other place. This is the one I was alluding to at the beginning of this video. It's probably up there with one of my favorite places that I have ever been to, not just in Mexico, in the world. And it's called San Jose del Pacifico. San Jose del Pacifico is a tiny village in the mountains of Oaxaca. So it's in between sort of the coast, the southern coast, and Oaxaca City, right in the middle. You have to get a bus to get there, and the bus it's one of those buses where people throw up. Like, it's known for people throwing up because it goes on these windy routes along the mountain. So if you get motion sick, I would recommend taking Dramamine, the motion sickness tablet. I did, because I do get motion sick. But when you get there, it is so worth it. It is gorgeous, really, really beautiful. Very secluded. There aren't many tourists. It's not like there's no like resorts or anything like that. We stayed in a small cabin. It was me, Q, and 4 of our travel friends. And we had the best time in San Jose del Pacifico. So I would highly recommend this tiny little village in Mexico. You can have a truly magical time. That is it on my Oaxaca series. That's it for Mexico, actually. I think if I do a video on Mexico again, it's going to be outside of this chronological sequence. After my time in Mexico, I was there for 6 months altogether. I took a bus to Guatemala. So I crossed the border I went from Oaxaca to San Cristobal de las Casas. So back to San San Cristobal de las Casas, which I've done a video on already. It's already in the Vegan in Mexico series. And then I took a bus from San Cristobal de las Casas across the border to Guatemala. And the next video is going to be on Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. Since I've moved into this new apartment, I've actually set myself a little challenge because I've been wanting to sort of make more videos on YouTube anyway. And since I have this kind of period of stability and a nice apartment, I thought, why not try and do a video every single day? A little bit stressed out even just considering doing a video every day, because it does take a little while to edit these things together. But if you support it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, because that is so appreciated, and do leave a comment of encouragement as well. You guys are why I make these videos. I started YouTube just because I wanted the skill of learning how to edit videos, just the basics, and kind of, you know, just get another skill under my belt. But I also started this YouTube channel because I felt like I had a lot of experience with traveling, veganism, fitness, and that kind of putting it all together in a lifestyle. And if anybody else wants to live that kind of lifestyle, that's what these videos are for, is to show you somebody who's doing it, to kind of make it an attainable goal. I know that's how I started traveling. I met people who had done world travel. It was something I dreamt about, but meeting other people and seeing other people who had already done it is what made it a tangible goal for me. So I hope to be that inspiration for other people, in particular women of color, because I don't see enough women of color traveling alone around the world. I've been traveling on and off for about 5 years now, through Africa, Asia, Central America, South America, North America, Europe, and I've rarely seen women of color, even rarer still, South Asian women of color, and one other Sri Lankan girl. So I want to see more women of color traveling the world, and that is also why I make these videos. So please do support me by giving me a thumbs up and a subscribe. Hit the notification bell and leave me a comment. I know that's a lot of instructions. That's it for today, and I will see you tomorrow because I'm going to make one every single day. So see you tomorrow.